Hi, this is Randy. I wanted to do a video about the fatally flawed loop of idealization, devaluation, and discarding. I'm not sure if that is a phrase that was coined by Serena Nightshade, fatally flawed loop, or if that was coined by another author, but I do want to give her credit. That's where I heard the term first. So, your relationship with a malignant narcissist can be a short term or a long term one. And I wanted to discuss the long term relationship with a malignant narcissist and how long these stages may last of idealization, devaluation, and discard. Now, you may be a guppy or someone who has a short-term relationship with a narcissist, and in that way you would be lucky. You could begin a relationship with a narcissist and then later find out that he's married or he has several other women, and perhaps you decide to end the relationship, and in that you would also be lucky. If you're not so lucky, you decide to venture into a long-term relationship with a narcissist. Of course, you don't know that he's a narcissist at that time. He or she is a narcissist. So in my particular case, the narcissist was 29 years old. When we met, I was 34. The idealization phase lasted for 3 to 4 months. As you will read, they usually say that's about how long it lasts. For about the next 4 to 12 months, though, I was being tested, really. I was in kind of this holding pattern where I was kept guessing, and I was being tested by the narcissist for my trustworthiness, my loyalness, how much supply I would give, how much information I would provide, how tolerant I would be. So for an entire year, I was kind of left in a holding pattern where I was being tested and I was jumping through hoops to please the narcissist, make sure I don't ask too many questions and don't put too much pressure on him. Well, I passed the test, evidently with flying colors, by year 1, and the narcissist was able to trust me enough to reveal some news to me that he had actually 4 children and not the one child that he had led me to believe for the entire first year of our dating. So once I accepted that about him, I got put into the idealization phase again, but this was the real idealization. In other words, I had passed the test and I was re-idealized. And so the stages are not, the stages can be fluid. In other words, they're not necessarily 1, 2, 3 in that order. Sometimes you can revisit, or the narcissist will revisit you into another one of an earlier stages, like that's what happened to me. So I was re-idealized for about 3 years, and it was just wonderful. It wasn't until the 4th year to the 11th year, so for 7 years, I can look back and see the devaluation stage. I was gradually devalued. It was very slow. It got gradually worse, but it was still much better when I was weighing the pros and cons. In other words, the good still outweighed the bad, and my memory of that idealization phase was really what kept me going, because, of course, I wanted him to return to that, and they never do. So that's just something that if you do return to the idealization phase, it's normally short-lived from what I hear. So the devaluation stage for me lasted for 7 years, and it was generally tolerable. Toward the end of that devaluation, though, it did get gradually worse, and I would say, not very happy, but still hopeful. Hopeful that we'd get past problems. We were just having the 7-year itch types of things. This was normal for a longer term relationship. You know, people lose interest, whatever happened, you know, poor communication, things that you hear might be going on in a normal long-term relationship. I rationalized. Then we got to the discard stage, and I really didn't realize I was in the discard stage now that I look back on it, but I can pinpoint an event that occurred which involved cheating, and the cheating was confirmed. It was not just joking around. It was actually confirmed and admitted to. But there was a severe pullback on his part. In other words, he didn't want to separate, leave, continue the affair, or anything like that. So it became an issue that we could actually get through, and it was a one-time thing, and it was never going to happen again, and it was explained, and he did some things to, you know, make things up to me. However, that stayed in my mind, and my antennas were way up at that point. So for then the next 4 years, I was being discarded, and I did not really know it. In my mind, this was an issue. The cheating was an issue that was a mistake. It was something that other couples go through. It was a one-time thing. I didn't know that things were continuing behind my back. After 4 years, I was put into the final discard, and it was at a time in my life after my father had just died. And if you have read or heard, listened to anything, that is when narcissists will shock you and rip off their mask completely when you're at your most vulnerable state. So after being devalued gradually for 7 years, discarded, then pull back, reverse, about face. However, beginning to be gaslighted, strip mined, more sleep deprived, and more abused for unknowing reasons. Nothing that I was doing. In fact, I was still trying to race on that treadmill of pleasing the narcissist. When that mask got ripped off, it was just horrible. It was horrifying. The whole discard phase for 4 years was very, very bad. It was unexplainable. It was something that I couldn't see the cause of or understand the cause of the behavior. I was looking for mental illness. I was looking for everything except other women, because that was something that I had been convinced by the narcissist was not going to occur again, and when it was a one-time thing, and of course I believed it like a fool. But the final discard stage, when you're shocked, will give you PTSD, and I highly recommend and advise anybody who looks back at their relationship and sees that they were idealized, they were devalued, it got worse, cheating started, they're being strip-mined, there's a smear campaign, they're being lied to, they're catching that person in lies. You're in the discard phase, and at that point you need to leave. If you have not left already, you need to leave immediately, because you do not want to go to that final discarding stage where the narcissist completely takes off his mask and you find out that you are with somebody you never seen before, never knew before. They're smirking and laughing at you, and that you've been sleeping with the devil. You never want that to get that far in the relationship. So please leave. before he discards you completely. Thank you for listening to the information about the fatally flawed loop of idealization, devaluation, and discard.